You know the day destroys the night, night divides the day. Try to run, try to hide, break on through to the other side, break on through to the other side, break on through to the other side, yeah. We chased our pleasures here, dug our treasures there.
One pill makes you larger and one pill makes you small, and the ones that mother gives you don't do anything at all. Go ask Alice when she's 10 feet tall. And if you go chasing rabbits and you know you're going to fall, tell 'em a hookah smoking caterpillar has given you the call. Call Alice when she was just small. When the men on the chessboard get up and tell you where to go, and you just had some kind of mushroom, and your mind is moving low, go ask Alice, I think she'll know. When logic and proportion have fallen, sloppy dead, and the white knight is talking backwards, and the red queen's off with her head. Remember what the Dormouse said. Feed your head, feed your
Come gather round, people, wherever you roam, and admit that the waters around you have grown, and accept it that soon you'll be drenched to the bone. If your time to you is worth saving, then you better start swimming or you'll sink like a stone, or the times they are a-changing. Some writers and critics who prophesize with your pen, and keep your eyes wide, the chance won't come again. And don't speak too soon, for the wheel's still in spin, and there's no telling who that it's naming. Was the loser now will be later to win, for the times they are a-changing. Senators, congressmen, please heed the call. Don't stand in the doorway, don't block up the hall, for he that gets hurt will be he who has stalled. The battle outside raging will soon shake your windows and rattle your walls, for the times they are a-changing. Mothers and fathers throughout the land, And don't criticize what you can't understand. Your sons and your daughters are beyond your command. Your old road is rapidly aging. Please get out of the new one if you can't lend your hand, for the times they are a-changing. The line it is drawn, the curse it is cast. The slow one now will later be fast, as the present now will later be past. The order is rapidly fading, and the first one now will later be last, for the times they are a-changing.
It's not time to make a change. Just relax, take it easy. You're still young, that's your fault. There's so much you have to know. Find a girl, settle down. If you want, you can marry. Look at me, I am old, but I'm happy. I was once like you are now, and I know that it's not easy to be calm when you found something going on. But take your time, think a lot. Why, think of everything you've got, for you will still be here tomorrow, but your dreams may not. How can I try to explain? When I do, he turns away again. It's always been the same old story. From the moment I could talk, I was ordered to listen. Now there's a way, and I know that I have to go away. I know I have to go. It's not time to make a change. Just sit down, take it slowly. You're still young, that's your fault. There's so much you have to go through. Find a girl, settle down. If you want, you can marry. Look at me, I am old, but I'm happy. Times that I've cried, keeping all the things I knew inside. It's hard, but it's harder to ignore it. If they were right, I'd agree, but it's them they know, not me. Now there's a way, and I know that I have to go away. I know I have to go.
Let us be lovers, we'll marry our fortunes together. I've got some real estate here in my bag, so we bought a pack of cigarettes and Mrs. Wagner pies, and walked off to look for America. I said as we boarded a Greyhound in Pittsburgh, Michigan seems like a dream to me now. It took me 4 days to hitchhike from Saginaw. I've come to look for America. Laughing on the bus, playing games with the faces. She said the man in the gabardine suit was a spy. I said, be careful. the scenery. She read her magazine, and the moon rose over an open field. Kathy, I'm lost, I said, though I knew she was sleeping. I'm empty and aching, and I don't know why. Counting the cars on the New Jersey Turnpike, they've all come to look for America. All come to look for America. All come to look for America.
If you're going to San Francisco, be sure to wear some flowers in your hair. If you're going to San Francisco, you're gonna meet some gentle people there. For those who come to San Francisco, summertime will be a-loving there. In the streets of San Francisco, gentle people with flowers in their hair. All across the nation, such a strange vibration. People in motion. There's a whole generation with a new explanation. People in motion. People in motion. For those who come to San Francisco, be sure to wear some flowers in your hair. If you come to San Francisco, summertime will be a-loving there. If you come to San Francisco, summertime will be a-loving there.
Here comes the sun, here comes the sun. I say it's alright.
Hello. Hello, everybody. Hello, everyone. If I could have your attention, if everyone could take their seats. There are people searching for chairs. So if you have a chair, if you have a seat open next to you, please raise your hand as we find room for everyone. Okay, there's a seat over here. Any single person. A seat over here. Okay. Here we go. Perfect. Thank you. All right. Now, if you guys could.
It's the time of the season when love runs high. In this time, give it to me easy and let me try with pleasured hands to take you in the sun to promised lands, to show you everyone. It's the time of the season for loving. What's your name? Who's your daddy? Is he rich like me? Has he take us anytime to show you what you need to live? Tell it to me slowly. Tell you why I really want to know. It's the time of the season for loving. What's your name? Who's your daddy? Is he rich like me? Has he taken anytime to show you what you need to live? Tell it to me slowly. Tell you why I really want to know. It's the time of the season for loving.
something happening here. But what it is ain't exactly clear. There's a man with a gun over there, telling me I got to beware. I think it's time we stop, children. What's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. There's battle lines being drawn. Nobody's right if everybody's wrong. Young people speaking their minds are getting so much resistance from behind. Time we stop. Hey, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. What a field day for the heat. 1,000 people in the street, singing songs and a carrying signs. Mostly say hooray for our side. It's time we stop. Hey, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. Paranoia strikes deep into your life, it will creep. It starts when you're always afraid. Step out of line, the man come and take you away. We better stop. Hey, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. Stop. Hey, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going. We better stop now. What's that sound? Everybody look what's going. We better stop. Children, what's that sound? Well, I came upon a child of God. He was walking along the road, and I asked him, tell me, where are you going? Yes, he told me. Said, I'm going down to Yesterday's Farm, gonna join in a rock and rollin'. Got to get back to the land, set my soul free. We are stardust, we are golden, we are building garden, and we got to get ourselves back to the garden. Well, then can I walk beside you? I have come to lose the smile, and I feel myself becoming something turning. And maybe it's the time of year. Yes, and maybe it's the time of man. And I don't know who I am, but life is for learning. We are stardust, we are golden, we are building garden, and we got to get ourselves back to the garden. We are stardust, we are golden, we are building garden, and we got to get ourselves back to the garden. By the time we got to Woodstock,
dreamed I saw the bomb and death planes riding shotgun in the sky, turning into butterflies above our nation. We are stars, we are golden, we are caught in the devil's market, and we got to get ourselves.
We're waiting. How about a round of applause for Carlos Carvajal? Yeah! Yeah! Yay! Woo! 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 Here is the celebration of a life well lived. The love in this room is palpable. The joy in this room you could slice with a knife. The sorrow for losing him is also real because he loved so much, gave so much, and shared life every moment. And today we are going to celebrate this life very well lived. My name is Reverend Ken Daigle. I have the honor of being the senior minister here at Unity San Francisco, and we welcome you to our home like Carlos welcomed you to his home all the time. And it is my honor and privilege to be here with Carolyn and Callie and Selena, who carry this legacy of love, of passion, of theater, of dance, of making a difference in the world by each and every moment of their lives. So that Carlos lives through them. And for them, I say welcome. For them, I say I'm so delighted that you are all here to celebrate with us. And we do what we do everywhere, and especially here at Unity San Francisco, is we start with an invocation. A moment to realize that we are not here by accident, but we are here by divine appointment. Appointment to share our joy, our sorrows, our love, and our passions with each other, so that the legacy of Carlos continues to ripple out across time and space. So I invite you to get comfortable, to breathe into the center of your being, and know that the gods of theater and the gods of the cell phones are with us right here and right now. The gods of dance, the muses of ballet and ethnic dance and theater dance and passion and love have brought us all together to honor this life, this moment, and this legacy that goes on and on. So we take this moment to give thanks for our ability to be here in person and online, across time and space. We honor this moment, we celebrate this life, and we give thanks for all that there is. And so it is. And so we allow it, celebrate it, and breathe into it. Amen. Ashe. And so it is. I give you Carlos.
If you ask me who I am, I won't be able to remember, but I do have a tag that no, actually I have about 50 tags that say, Carlos Carvajal. My name is Carlos Carvajal, and I am at the present the co-artistic director of the San Francisco Ethnic Dance Festival. I am a San Francisqueño Californio. So I am a native San Francisqueño Californio, My first memories are of performing before a group of people. I was maybe 5 years old. My father played the piano, and he would have me sing. He would have me perform. There I was singing and enjoying the nickels and dimes that the guests would all throw, you know. So, and then my dad was also a magician. He did a lot of stage magic, and I became his assistant. He also gave me a wondrous musical education because I was hearing classical music and opera music and operetta music all the time at home. Dad then insisted that I become a doctor. I was a cellist, very serious cellist, and I had been studying piano as well. I wanted to become a member of the symphony. He, on the other hand, continued to think that I should be a doctor. One day came, and when I first got to high school, I went to a folk dancing session at my former junior high. I went into the class and started to learn folk dances. It was very, very easy and very normal for me to be doing that, dancing in time to the music and the musical phrases. Soon thereafter, I started even to do choreography in high school because we started a folk dance club in high school and also exhibiting national folk dances with my partners, Russian, Italian. And one day I was performing with a folk dance group. At the same time, I was playing in the junior symphony, the youth symphony. I was first stand cellist. So I started out on stage playing the cello. I changed into an Italian dance costume, and then I came out with the festival workshop and danced in the middle of the whole thing as a folk dancer. Somebody remarked they thought that I had been studying ballet, which I hadn't. But they put the bug in my head. I decided I would go check out a ballet class. So I checked out the ballet class, and I thought, yeah, I'd like to do that. And I bet you I could do it better. I thought to myself, I could do it better. So I enrolled myself secretly. Once I got into ballet, I dropped all of the music. I no longer played cello. My father had never bought me a cello. I told him that later. I said, Daddy, the reason I'm a dancer is because it's your fault. And dance was so complete for me and another part of our family. And my aunt, I had two aunts who were famous in dance in the Philippines, and the rest of my family are famous in the theater in the Philippines. Within a year, I was accepted into the opera ballet. Still studying pre-med, I also had a part-time job. My father didn't know. And then one day, I was in the middle of, it's my third semester at City College. I was preparing for my term papers or something. And I said, nope. I'm a dancer. End of story. That's it.
And to share her memories of Carlos, Patty Ann Farrell.
The teacher. It was Carlos. Carlos, with his heart so full of welcome, everybody come into the studio, let's dance. He was full of joy and glee, and it was all I needed. Meeting such an amazing, transcendent artist gave me the opportunity to work with so many other fine artists that were around Carlos in his incredibly deep, beautiful, radical productions of Dance Spectrum. I am eternally grateful for having been a part of Dance Spectrum. Thank you, Carlos. 1978, the San Francisco Ethnic Dance Festival started. It started as a one-off performances in cultural centers in the city. Carlos, who had been folk dancing his whole life, was very interested. And as I was there doing the lighting techs for every show, Carlos was sitting in the audience most of the time, watching, loving, absorbing. And he always said to me, "Patty Ann, I'd like to direct the Ethnic Dance Festival." I loved it. We offered his name up all the time. And as the festival grew, there came a time, 2005, when Carlos Carvajal and C.K. Lezepo became the artistic directors and mentors of the Ethnic Dance Festival. They were co-directors for 12 years, which was pretty amazing. Most directors were on for a year or two. 12 years, and they helped hundreds of artists by gifting each artist with the skills that they would need to be able to produce themselves inside the festival and on. Carlos and CK both had time, good temperament, kind feelings, respect for all those artists, and were very well loved. 2017, 2018, the festival graced the stage of the San Francisco Opera House. Carlos was in heaven. He had grown up on that stage growing up dancing, a very well-loved choreographer and director. For him, the stage was calling him back to present the Ethnic Dance Festival. It was just lovely. It was amazing to see. The houses were completely full. This was spectacular after all these years of audiences coming to all these different festivals. Here at the Opera House, they were all there. That was phenomenal. 2018, Carlos and CK became emeritus artistic directors, but stayed involved with the three new artistic directors, talented directors, Patrick Makukane, Latanya Tigner, and Mahea Uchiyama, who had their own images and visions of what the Ethnic Dance Festival would be. 2019 was the very last Ethnic Dance Festival to be put on stage. It was spectacular. It was at Celeberating Auditorium. 41 years of the Ethnic Dance Festival in that form. Carlos had dreamed it from the beginning and was an important part of every bit of it. I am deeply honored to have had Carlos as my friend and to have had the ability to share sacred space with him to create art. Carlos, always and forever. Thank you.
Everyone, this is Tony. Many of you do know me. Carolyn had asked me to say a few words about our dear friend Carlos. I first met Carlos actually in the mid-60s when I joined San Francisco Ballet in the school. I was able to get to know him and fortunate enough to perform in 3 of his ballets while I was there. The first one being The Way. The others were 3 Diversions and Facets. Both are wonderful ballets. During those years, I was a frequent visitor to the Villa Satori. I was having some problems at home, and I would take the bus late at night, sneak out of the house, and get to the villa and hang out with all the people there and couch surf, basically. And the people in those days that were living there and our visitors included, folks like Bobby Hooley, Jan, Terry, Kelly, Michael Caffey, Chuck Garnett, whose wonderful bathroom is upstairs in the villa, still intact, at least the upper half of it. Later on, there was Christine, Carolyn, Leonard, Chad, Michael, many others. I lived in the front bedroom for a short time. It was a bedroom that Carlos originally occupied and had the fireplace. So I stayed there for a while, and I even shared the room next door, which was separated by double glass doors, I believe. So many wonderful memories of the villa in those days. Isadora the duck, formation of the garden in the backyard, all the crazy things like, gained great ideas of putting, torn up paper bags and plaster them on the ceiling to make it look like a stone ceiling. Also, little things that we did in those days. We did Circus of the Absurd in Speedway Meadows. We all got dressed up and danced and, kind of like clowns and things. Dancing on the streets in Ghirardelli Square. Ojai Festival came to mind. Ojai Festival was just an amazing journey down dancing. We all were underneath this big, giant parachute and had separate little tent areas to sleep, and we all did this wonderful performance out in the grass. I remember dancing with Katie out there. It was wonderful. I returned back to San Francisco in 71. This was at the early stages of Dance Spectrum. We had this wonderful experience in Grace Cathedral doing Carlos's Totentanz, and I did the Dance of Death, or the Role of Death, I should say. That's probably, in my mind, one of the most amazing experiences I've ever had performing. These memories of the early days with Dance Spectrum, it was just an incredible experience to have a new company that was formed with probably the most brilliant choreographer in the Bay Area at the time. Thank you all for allowing me to share these experiences. My my sincere condolences go out to Carolyn, Selena, Kelly, and family. I wish you all love. Carlos was like a very, very dear, close friend, mentor, choreographer, director, so much of the world for me and for all of us. And he's going to be sorely missed.
And now to share her memories, Ann Smith.
This is Old Home Week. Yes. Trouble with using an iPad is you have to use it. I don't really wear glasses that much except for distance, but Michael Lowe said, oh yeah, he didn't quite recognize me without them, so I put them on. So yeah, this is me, glasses. I'm Ann Smith, and I guess, representing kind of the management side of the house. Dance Spectrum, 22nd and Mission, the old Arthur Murray Ballroom Dance Studio. And as a San Francisco-based contemporary ballet company and dance studio of the 70s, it was founded and directed by Carlos Carvajal after he left, and Tony talked about it, San Francisco Ballet. And he brought a group of dancers with him, Carolyn, Katie, and a few others who I don't know. Wendy. Oh, yeah. Okay, well, you start on the names and keep going. I was looking at some old programs that I had, because managers keep files, and seeing all of the various events that we did, these amazing things, this company, under Carlos's leadership. And we may have been in a studio, or at Stern Grove, or at the Civic Auditorium, now called Bill Graham Auditorium, or on the road. We might have been on tour. we always had something special going on. Now, Dance Spectrum was a nonprofit professional dance organization. People got paid. It was supported by tuition fees, space rental, ticket sales, touring income, individual cash, and in-kind donations, and grants from federal, state, and local government, in case you think it was all done on air. But here's one of our fun things that we did. Company dancers, there were 12 to 16 mostly, were laid off during the fall opera season because they could perform at union scale for the opera and then collect unemployment, which we regarded as another form of government support for the arts. Yes. And a dancer could rehearse, because it's called maintenance of skills, but not perform during, while collecting unemployment. And so they rehearsed during Dance Spectrum's period. Then they were laid off so that they could be paid during the company's performance weeks. I don't think AI could develop that kind of reasoning. Another thing that's absolutely memorable is reflecting Carlos's multicultural affinities, as we called them then. The studio offered classes and performance programs, of course, in ballet and modern dance. Jean Mathis headed up that program, as well as a variety of other dance and music artists and forms, including, let your minds wander, flamencos, Rosa Montoya, Rael Lamb, African American, Noel Parenti, tap, Rec Russell, jazz, Ishvani Hamilton, Bharatanatyam, Indonesian gamelan dance, Eastern European, Russian folk dance, Kadra. They even did Georgian. There was a big thing about this company that nobody can do Georgian, you know. It's too tough, but they did it. They were all drawn to Carlos's welcoming attitude from his early days. And so this studio, you had to walk up one flight of stairs. It just kind of hummed most of the time, all day long into the evening. And the repertory that he created for Dance Spectrum reflected this wonderful variety of magical dance forms that he knew about. It was grounded in musicality. When I first, Cecile Lenneman, Theater of Man, introduced me to Carlos in 1972, 73. And I heard the music first, because I'm a music person, and then I saw the dance, the rehearsing. And wow, it always fit. It was I just had never seen such musicality in dance, and that brought me on. From intimate duets at the Wabe Theater, Lone Mountain, where Patty Ann, at age, I think she was probably 18 at the time, found out and helped us out to these small theaters, to the large group dance spectacles. Critics really loved those spectacles. Totentons, Wintermoss, Golden Rain, Crystal Slipper. I just read, who is it? There was the Examiner critic, he said, he did a review and he loved Crystal Slipper. And he said, well, I always thought it was kind of cutesy, but this ballet, he thought, boy, they really put it all together. And Carvajal proved himself a wonderful classical ballet choreographer. So we did the traditional formats and the modern and cultural intersections. And we performed classical, contemporary, and folk dance formats, sometimes on the same program. My role is a manager, never a dancer. Jeff Franklin and Ballet One. That's as far as I got. And I did it so that I would know what the steps were made of, but no way was I going to put myself through what they had to do. And they would say, well, how do you know how to do what, they'd ask me, how do you know how to do this and that? And I said, well, how do you know how to do what you do? You know, I admire what you're doing. That's why I'm trying to be here and support it. My only aesthetic contribution was as an audience member, such as questioning the inclusion of 2 Russian piano concertos on the same program. And I said, I don't think that will really, and Carlos listened to that with his characteristic head tilt. Oh, you're right. Good. We'll take one of them off and put it in the other program. So he listened to the audience, and this was always important as well. We were also one among the first professional companies to make use of the changes in audio systems. Dan Dugan, we had a fabulous sound designer who I'll never forget the quadraphonic sound that Dolby had invented. And the first time we used that quadraphonic sound for Wintermoss in Palace of Fine Arts Theater. You remember the sounds echoing around the theater. That was the quadraphonic sound. It was a luxury to have live music, so of course, most things were recorded sound. But that system took it away from the, blare that hits you straight on to something that caressed your mind and your ears. So the exceptions, sometimes we had wonderful ones. Carlos Carvajal's counterpoise, right? With pianist Roy Bogus playing Prokofiev's first piano concerto with San Francisco Symphony at Stern Grove. Or creating dances to popular classics with symphony pops concerts led by Arthur Fiedler, if any of you remember who that was, the original Boston Pops creator who always asked for Carlos as a San Francisco series choreography. And that meant a good fee paid to the company. Those performances were free or inexpensive for large audiences. We could bring in well over 10,000 plus people at Stern Grove, or maybe 4,000 in the cavernous reaches of the Civic Auditorium. And Callie, guess who was your babysitter in infancy at our board table at the Pops? And Callie would go, she'd be, there. And when the audience came, she would go in her infancy. And then Wintermoss was probably among the most special things that we did. Sometimes it would sell out, but the first year we scheduled too many performances and then hoped there wouldn't be as many people, and then hoped there would be as many people sometimes as there were on the stage. Oh well, you learn. But we didn't cancel the show because we wanted the dancers to dance, and we did have foundation grants so they could be paid, and an allocation from the Grants for the Arts, it's called. Oddly enough, Totentanz was like a Lenten nutcracker for Dance Spectrum, always full houses. And this was his, he may have put down his dance thing, but he took it back up, remember, and he got his Master of Arts in Choreography, Creative Arts at San Francisco State. And when we did the last performance that I was there for in '79, we had to turn away hundreds of people from Grace Cathedral that last night. It was scary. There were no police anywhere or anything. There was just people wanting to come in. But people grudgingly behaved, like remember the 50th anniversary Golden Gate Bridge Walk, where they thought there would be, 80,000 people and almost 1 million showed up. Well, ever so slowly, everybody turned and went back to their homes. And that night, people grudgingly, made their way outside. The sheer humanity of that experience reminded me of a Carvajal choreography. The audience became the choreography as they reluctantly departed. The 70s were when dance on tour became known among rural and urban settings. Across America, Richard Nixon supported the dance touring program, if you can imagine that, of the National Endowment for the Arts. Carlos was among the first to receive choreography grants from the NEA. And Dance Spectrum was among the first companies to tour. We got to Seattle and Bozeman, Montana, as well as all over California. Always adaptable. One year, I can't resist this. One year we toured in 3 RVs. There was the carnivores, the vegetarians, and the assorted fruits and nuts. It was amazing. And as the manager on tour, sometimes I was also stage manager. I definitely had to cook food in the RV sometimes, so the dancers had food after the performance when there were no restaurants open in whatever, Grays Harbor, Washington or somewhere. And we really found that touring was an enlightening process, spreading the word. And it was so cool to see principals, they come in, this is a dance company. But then they would just say, oh, did you see? They would say, oh, the kids were so excited. They did this and they did that, because we would send the dancers all over the school. And they would transform the building with bringing them into a dance experience. And it was just magical. They stopped being wary and they became fans. And because Carlos had trained the dancers to become teachers as well. And rarely, this was another aspect of his work and his way of doing work, we rarely had injuries. It was a way of teaching. Other companies had injuries all the time, and we rarely did. But after all the time with De Cuevas on tour and South America, as we headed into the late 70s and early 80s, he just wasn't that interested in seeking to grow as a business or make a profit. That wasn't the deal for him. So he was being sought out for choreography everywhere, because from Dance Theater of Harlem to other ballet companies, to go back to Europe, go back to South America. And it was just no longer his big deal to run a company, to do all the things that you have to do to be an artistic director. And so he gradually phased it down. We both left, and Dance Spectrum's time ended around 1981, unfortunately, just as AIDS was beginning to overwhelm the dance world. We know it and remember it, a plague taking so many people we loved and admired on stage and backstage. But that was the 80s, and went on into the 90s and so on. But the 70s, for Dance Spectrum, had been a new experience for everyone. It was a period of growth in the arts nationwide. And what Dance Spectrum had at the time was one of the world's best choreographers who knew how to inspire people to dance beautifully and to motivate people to watch and listen and celebrate the human spirit in dance. What Dance Spectrum had was Carlos Carvajal. It was an excellent personal honor to have had the experience of working, as we said in the 70s, through our Scorpio-Gemini partnership. It was unforgettable and enabled a lifetime of memories. Thanks for listening.
And now, Totentanz.
In Europe, I had been researching my favorite subject, which was the dance of death.
The dance of death?
Or the Totentanz.
Why?
We were having the great hippie revolution
Yeah.
here, and I discovered similarities in my research from the time of the Black Plague to the present day. The dance mania, for instance, was a very common thing. It was manifest here at the ballrooms. We would go to the dances, and people were dancing crazedly all over. You know, it was very free. Everybody was dancing and dancing and dancing. The idea of dying tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
If the atom bomb would explode
Yeah,
tonight, we wouldn't be here, right? So we have
Yeah.
that's there, that's in our consciousness.
Yeah.
And so that makes people act differently. There's the complete hedonism.
Mm-hmm.
Live for today, you know, have a ball today because tomorrow we might be dead.
Yeah.
There's the opposite of that, which is looking for our religious foundation, looking for why we are here, asking, why are we here? What am I doing here? Then what is all this existence all about? When I started working on my thesis, I had all this material around me that it was really very stimulating.
Right.
So what happened was that I discovered I wasn't a very good writer. I mean, sitting down and writing was not what I was here for. My language is dance. So I proposed that I should do it as a ballet. And when I came back to San Francisco, I was ballet master and associate choreographer with the San Francisco Ballet. And so I proposed to my masters. There's a group. There's a panel. That was my proposition, that I should do it as a ballet, and they accepted it. So I was able to then put my thoughts together with San Francisco Ballet, and I presented it with electronic music, which was written for it, at the Opera House, the first time. When I left the San Francisco Ballet and for my own company, the Dance Spectrum, I had the idea of doing it at Grace Cathedral here in San Francisco, which is an Episcopalian cathedral, and to doing it inside of the church and around the altar, and they gave me permission to do it. So I gathered everybody, besides professional dancers. I also gathered all my students and a bunch of kids and everything, and I did a real spectacle within the cathedral, which they liked so much that they asked me to do it every other year. Children's games like Ring Around the Rosie, Ashes, Ashes, We All Fall Down. You know, that was one of the games. The other one is the game of Blind Man's Bluff. The blind man, and he touches you, you're dead. Then the story of the Pied Piper.
Yeah.
See, the dance manias were also common. People were suffering from ergot poisoning, which is one of the sources of LSD, ergot, lysergic acid, and so forth. It's in ergot. People were suffering from this, and so in order to cure them from that, they would dance them.
Right.
Convulsions and visions. Common to the 60s were the visions that were happening as well.
Right.
And the crazy dances. The Pied Piper took the children off. He danced them off to the Kloppenberg, and they disappeared in the mountain. The story of the Red Shoes is a death dance story. The story of the dancing princesses. And in the ballet, I had the Pied Piper appear in the cathedral with the children, and he danced the children out through the back of the cathedral. Each day has its plague. Today we have a particular plague that has been killing many young people and many beloved friends of ours.
Yes.
That plague has made me appreciate my everyday existence much more intensely than if I were ignorant of it, you know. And we know that if we can apprehend our daily life more, how rich it is, how wonderful it is, how short our life is, how delightful it can be. You see, so that we don't waste our time in useless things. It helps us live more and more energetically, with much more enjoyment, you know.
Now let's welcome to the platform Rob Young and Diana Young-Peak.
Him first.
Him first. devices. Much of what we're certainly going to say today will cross and integrate with what has already been shared by those who have already spoken, by Carlos himself, and this amazing keepsake. Thank you so much for putting this together. I want to start my remembrance of Carlos from a conversation that I had about when he left San Francisco Ballet after he put together Genesis 70. He had the intention in choreographing this piece, which had lights and all sorts of wildness about it, to draw in the next generation, those who had been through the Haight-Ashbury and the Summer of Love and the free love generation in the early 70s. They wanted those people to discover classical ballet. And so he choreographed it, and the Board of Trustees said, "Ooh, no, not in our conservative ballet world. You have to tone it back down or else." And Carlos said, "Else." And he took a number of his best dancers, and off he went and started San Francisco Dance Spectrum. And this, for the first time, gave him a real freedom of his own creativity and his own mind, his own dance vision. And this was 1970, of course, Genesis 70. And my first experience of Carlos and of Carolyn as well was a production that he did of his Voyage Interdit, which took you through the process of the fool's journey through the great arcana. And I was living at the time with Charles Swisher, who was a sound engineer and was doing the tech for Carlos. And the Ghirardelli Square had a live theater at that point, and he went to produce this piece in Ghirardelli Square, the theater, and Charles took us down to enjoy that show. And in looking back at that performance, I am significantly tickled to note that although it was multicast, that piece, there were several people who knew each of the roles. In this particular presentation, Carlos danced the fool and Carolyn danced the high priestess. And that just really tickles me, because that was well before they were an item of any kind. And here we have a legendary family. I subsequently went to their new studio, which was on 2nd Street downtown. Friends of the group of us had been living there, and they went off and found another place up on Guerrero Street and left this to Carlos. It was a lovely space, a storefront with a warehouse area, and they were able to do the work and rehearse there. What was particular about Carlos's work, as we see in progressive ballets that he performed, out of the, more than 200 that he has credited to him, was his grasp of cultures and of the art of the culture, which of course, given San Francisco Ethnic Dance Festival and his experience there, shows us that very clearly. But in his own ballets, he was able to see not only the culture and its art, but to see spirit moving through it, living through that expression of culture. That was his eye, his understanding of what he was seeing. And he was able to generate that not only in his choreography, but to pass it through and into his dancers, so that they really knew what they were doing from that perspective. And so we see that in Totentanz. We saw it particularly in Wintermas, where we see not only the passage of the end of the year and the rituals and the dance rituals that went on in the Western cultures, many of them, but the transition then into the change of light and the immersion of the classical ballet dancers coming down as angels, as spirit comes down to join with the evolutionary culture. More on that. I know Dinah will have many things to say about that one, but on top of that one, we see the image of humanity itself progressing to a great change where spirit comes down and joins with humanity as a magical expression happens. And that was a vision. It's a vision I think we all hold for humanity and has been held by many a philosopher. Carlos was certainly one of those philosophers, and he expressed it in an extraordinary way. I particularly remember in Wintermas the Morris dancers doing the version of dance which uses swords, and seeing Sulpicio, and in another expression of that, Buddy, dancing the fool on top of the swords in a hexagram, locked together, and him sitting on the top of it. Just an extraordinary expression of the fool's journey. More on that, I think, in a minute. But another ballet that he did, which expressed his cultural understanding in a really unique and very local way, was Facade. I don't know how many of you remember Facade, but it was an expression of the culture of the 70s in San Francisco, a very broad expression, and it was humorous, deeply rich, and for those of us who got to witness it or work with it in any way, were moved by how really accurate it was on so many levels. But there it was, put together in something which could be shared, the memory of the 70s culture in San Francisco. Really excellent. We got to know Carlos even better as time went on. We were working with Dr. Grace Hooper Pettifer in San Francisco, who was a religious teacher for us, spiritual philosophy. And Carlos attended as well over a number of years. And Dr. Grace, I remember, attended Wintermas, and I remember seeing her come in with her eyes of steel blue and being really taken with Carlos's work and his ability to work with spirit in the arts in this way. And she eventually conferred, through the auspices of Académie Internationale, the Chevalier, a knighthood, on Carlos for his extraordinary work with spirit in the arts. And in the passing of Grace, which was Palm Sunday, 1978, just following that, Carlos choreographed a piece which I know from both talking with him and sitting with him, reviewing that ballet over the years, was Secret Silence, which was an extraordinary experience of humanity coming together, expressed with each of the dancers doing exactly the same choreography, but randomly moving about the stage, each on their own track, until it came close to the finale of the piece, when they began to merge together into an extraordinary single formation, which was a huge celebration. And I think in his mind, it was a statement of her ascension, her passing, and also of just the art of her being and what she shared with all of us. Diana, I know you have some insights and experiences you want to share on those very topics.
I first met Carlos in 1972, I believe it was, when I became a member of Dr. Grace's community, her Church of the Living Christ, Order of Melchizedek. And I was totally struck by the art he produced. I had come to San Francisco hoping to study at ACT, and had for a short while, and then discovered that really wasn't where I was going. And I wasn't sure where I was going. And eventually, I had a spiritual experience. And I knew this fellow. And he said, well, I'm attending a group you might want to come to. And so I did. And I then began to attend Carlos ballets and was completely struck. I will never forget the parade of flagellant monks going down the nave at Totentanz. I was thrilled by Wintermas, the folk rituals, I'm particularly interested myself in this tradition of the Morris dancers, the British tradition, the Western mystery tradition. And Carlos had that down. And then he took it further. He took it into cosmos. Another memory I have in particular, after the folk dances and the early rituals of the English countryside, I remember the mother. I remember Carolyn, 8 months pregnant with Callie, I believe, on tow, coming forth to us all with the blessing of being. Over the years, after Grace's passing, Robert and I inherited the leadership of her church. We folded in the congregation of rather elderly ladies and their sometimes attendant husbands, and let that disperse as such things do. And we took around 20 years then to prepare ourselves for really taking over what she had presented. I made connections with the British traditions, and we began to meet again in the early 2000s. We met monthly. Grace had met with us every Sunday and every Wednesday for class. We met monthly and continue to do so. We saw less and less of Carlos as the years went on, but he was always there, still a member of our communion. And we, as the years went on, began to call it not a church, but a communion. Oh yes, it's technically a church, but more than that, it's something that I know Carlos knew very well. We called ourselves a communion of priests, a classroom of teachers. Each one teach, each one lead, each one hold the light of spirit within and share it with any and all who can experience that. Dr. Grace, you saw a picture, I believe, up here of Dr. Grace with Callie in her arms and Carlos and Carolyn appreciative. Grace had passed by the time Selena came along, and I got to perform the christening. We've been around a long time. We keep kind of a low profile. When the pandemic hit, we ceased to meet in person and went to Zoom. And there was Carlos, able to be with us again. And the group suddenly became international. We have people from across the country, from New York, from Montreal, from various places in the United Kingdom. And Carlos was there, generally in his chair, with one or another of his avian friends. As a matter of fact, a visit to Haight-Ashbury was the first time I realized that chicken on the table could mean something different. So over the years, we got to know a number of his avian friends, and he was with us right up until a few weeks before his passing, always on Zoom with something cogent to say. Still present, still real. The man I knew was a guru who transcended any one religion and embraced them all. And we are bereft in his passing and greatly enriched by his being here, by our knowing him. And that's what I've got to say.
Thank you very much.
The creative process.
My language is dance. I am able to express what I've learned at the time, not through words, but in a dance form. This was, it served two purposes too, you know, because let's say the spiritual, you know, message that it gives, you know, of inclusion and wholeness, and it works in many ways, you know. It's like a reminder of that person, bringing him back, within our memory and so forth, you know. It explains, for instance, visually, the proximity to one another, what interaction occurs. Mostly, as I've choreographed my dances, I don't intellectualize what I'm doing. It's on a completely different plane than my intellectual plane. It's someplace out there that's wordless, which is difficult for many people to experience, you see, because we're accustomed in the normal, quote, the normal world, which I am not of. I mean, I'm a different kind of character here. We don't think, we're afraid of the unknown. We are very, very shy of the unknown. The artist, however, quite on the contrary, is in the unknown and is manifesting from the unknown these forms and this, whatever this composition may be. It forms itself not through an intellectual as a process as much as an experiential process. That's the only way I can describe it. I don't plan my tombe para regresar assemblée moves. I don't do that. I go by feeling, by proximity, and also my own training is not only ballet, you see, because I started out as a folk dancer originally, as a teenager, but having grown up in the environment that I have with my father, who was a musician and an artist and a hypnotist and a man that worked with intellect specifically very strongly, and also who taught me as a child a lot of the principles of what the mind is capable of. See, that allowed me to go there, to let go, and to allow the creative process to happen. Because my father was always in that place. My father was always creating, whether it be painting or furniture or inventing something, he was always doing that. So my initial experience as a child was living in that atmosphere of creativity, of the arts, of color, of music. And so I was early on being able to be there at that point. As I say, my language is dance. It's not necessarily verbal. I don't verbalize it as much as I dance what I cannot verbalize. You see, that which is, in dance, we do things that are understood without having to be explained.
Brittany Prasad.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Brittany, formerly Worth, now Prasad. It's been so amazing, before I go into my little spiel, I met Carlos in kind of like the later chapter, and I didn't really know a lot about dance spectrum. I heard a lot about it, but it was just amazing to hear everybody speak today and get a better understanding of it. So I met Carlos when I was 15 years old. I was auditioning with Peninsula Ballet Theater. Hi, Christy. With Peninsula Ballet Theater, and he was going to do his own production of The Nutcracker. What I did not realize at that time was we were going to be working together on and off for the next 20 years in some form. Watching him create Nutcracker was nothing I'd ever seen before. I'd come from a very strict ballet background. You had to do what was given, and he would just come in with a general idea, and he let the music do the talking, and he let you also be a part of the process. So if you had this amazing skill, he was definitely gonna add it in there, but then he'd also push you too. So it was just a very different process that I'd ever seen before. He always played to our strengths in any way that he could. To this day, I find his Nutcracker to be one of the greats. If you can make the party scene something I actually find entertaining, I think you have a winner. He had, in the battle scene, he had mice throwing cheese at the soldiers. It was hilarious. I think my mom also played in the party scene, and I think at one point she was like the drunk nanny. So it was just really, really funny. There was a lot of like nuance to it. So from the snow scene all the way to the Grand Pas, it was just a beautiful, beautiful piece of art. He never made you do anything just because it was in the choreography. I despise gorgliades, and they were in the sugar plum solo. So I came up with another idea. And 9 times out of 10, if you came up with another idea, he was like, let's do it. So he was just always so generous in that way. He created a ton of works for Peninsula Ballet Theater in the time that I was there, but then we also resurrected a lot of the stuff that he did on Carolyn and with Dance Spectrum. One of those ballets we revived was The Crystal Slipper. So I blame Carolyn's insane technique for the opening solo in Crystal Slipper. It was ridiculously hard. My mom lovingly called it everything but the kitchen sink, because everything was in that first solo. So you kind of white-knuckled it. You got that done, and as Carolyn and I were talking the other day, she says, yeah, but it's smooth sailing after that, which it was. You just had to get over that part. One of my favorite all-time ballets, not only to dance, but to watch, was Shapes of an Evening. It demonstrates, yes, you've seen it. It demonstrates some of his best work in making a ballet a full artistic experience, both for the dancer and the viewer. Another amazing thing about Carlos is all of his hidden talents. So as you can see, there's a rich history in ballet that he exposed us to. And then he also, I think if you saw some of the pictures, he could do stage makeup like nobody's business. So I was 16, very, very green, and we had to do a photo shoot. So he says, "Come here, dear." And he sits me down, and he does my makeup, and I was like, wow, this is amazing. So I carried that through my dance career. I also, as a mom, tried to do that on my 5-year-old for her very first dance recital. I do not recommend putting black liquid liner and false eyelashes on a 5-year-old. It was a traumatic experience for both mother and daughter. So one of Carlos's superpowers was seeing the beauty in all of us. So you didn't have to have the feet, the extension. He found beauty in what you could do. And maybe that was your performance quality. Maybe that, could have been anything, but he always made you shine. He never strived for perfection. Never came down in a profession that is all about perfection. That's not really what he was striving for. It was okay to make mistakes. He fostered a loving and nurturing company, making all of the long hours that we put in never feel like we were at work at all. Some of my best memories are in the studio with him, his dog Skippy, and all of the company members. Most importantly, my biggest takeaway from Carlos is he was just a really good human. Just a good human. He led with love and understanding for absolutely everyone around him. Carlos' lasting legacy is that we all continue to share his passion and creativity each and every day. I've told my students year after year to remember and savor this moment. The life of a dancer is finite, and these will be your most cherished memories. Through my many years of working with Carlos, I have passed down his legacy of love, creativity, and ballet. Thank you.
Thank you, Brittany, for that. Let's take a look at Carlos teaching.
Places.
The very fact that I can sit here and look through my window and look at the sunset every day that I wish and notice the angle of the sun for the different seasons. So far, so good. Year after year, What a gift. A gift of a long life. And I'm still able to teach. And when I'm teaching, it's the greatest moment because I'm rewarded every moment when I see the improvement that my students have made, as you witnessed today. And it's just a wonderful gift that they give me in their excellence and in their improvement, What a gift it has all been, It's not been a struggle. It's been an enlightenment, an understanding, and a letting go, and an ability to let go, which is important. My Buddhist nature has taught me, you see, things of that sort. You be content, no contentment. I've had enough. I don't want more. I know there was this wonderful movie, Things to Come, and tomorrow we shall conquer the universe. No, I don't want to conquer the universe. I had no conquering ideas whatsoever. I was just being of my moment, of the time. I am of my moment. I am of the time, My ability is less, so I'm re-choreographing my moves and everything that I do. That's all. I am given this privilege of being in my own home, in my own environment. Now, there are those who haven't got that privilege. But I do, and I'm acknowledging it, and I'm thankful for every day that I can get out of my bed and take care of myself. And I can even put my bit together and stuff, you know. When I'm gone, whatever you do, do not resurrect me. Don't let me go, because that's the end of it. That's important that it be so. You know, I need to because going through our different phases, our different, let's call it, you know, things, this is very important to allow.
Ann Fisher-Rato.
That was my studio. It is truly a blessing to be with all of you today. I miss Carlos. And y'all wore me out already. I feel so much gratitude for the opportunity to have known and worked with Carlos most of my life. His enthusiasm, love, and creativity were endless, and a constant inspiration. I was a young apprentice dancer with Ron Guidi's Oakland Ballet Company when I first met Carlos at the pivotal age of 14, much like Brittany. He had come to substitute for Ron while the company was away on the spring tour, and this was the post-Dance Spectrum days, so he had a little more time. And so instead of us having kind of a patchwork mini subs, Carlos taught the whole 6 weeks. It was like a little mini intensive with Carlos. Before we officially met, I had been an admirer of his choreography, his ballet synergies, Crystal Slipper. I loved the magical black light transformation scene in the Crystal Slipper with the beautiful fairy godmother and her ball, her various elements providing Cinderella with her ball-going attire and transportation. It was so fanciful and clever. I could go on and on about what I loved about that ballet and the dancers who performed it, some of my faves. At the time, Oakland Ballet spring tours, sorry, I have a drippy nose, were around 6 weeks long, and that year, like I said, we had him the whole time. His classes, thank you, were an amazing combination of tradition, formality, and the avant-garde. As many of you know, at the beginning of every class, his warm-up exercises featured elements of yoga, Eastern dance forms, and various ethnic music styles unusual to a ballet class. He gave a traditional bar, but sprinkled with imagery of physical and energetic connections, along with myths and philosophies from China and India. When it came to center work, he used traditional ranking, as in if we were in a professional company. He cheerfully assigned your position in his class based on his opinion of your skill. Ballerina, center, front row. Soloist, demi-soloist, working out to the sides, and back rows for the corps de ballet. Didn't matter your age, that's how you were placed. In Carlos's class, you literally and figuratively knew where you stood. His center combinations were a mix of academic drill and delightful choreographic dances. He loved those pas de bourrées. And he had a penchant for giving nicknames. Usually one's name got shortened. My name, Anne, had to be lengthened. He was the only person besides my mother who ever called me Annie. Who came first, the macaw or me? I don't know. He was the most encouraging and positive teacher I had ever encountered. And as if by magic, I always felt I danced better in his class. He encouraged his students to embrace their individuality, as Brittany was saying, and his corrections improved my placement, coordination of port de bras, and the use of my head. Between the corrections from Betsy Erickson and Carlos, I probably got every correction there is under the sun, which came in handy later as a teacher. By the time I was 17, I was going on those spring tours. And the next time the company mounted the crystal slipper, yours truly got to be the little sister in Vidya. Oh, what fun it was to do that role over the years, especially with Joy Gim as my big sister. It was in 1992, as in Vidya, that I took my final bow with the Oakland Ballet Company. When I left the company, I had been teaching at the Oakland Ballet Academy for 5 years and continued for another 3, branching out into new directions, and I got married. I was given the opportunity to become the artistic director of Berkeley Ballet Theater in 1997, and after completing a year of changing of the guard, I eagerly contacted Carlos to come and teach. He did. And he set one of his ballets for the upper division students, which included a pas de deux. And Frances Lai Baca, who performed that pas de deux, also became a teacher and choreographer. Is she here today? She was supposed to come. I don't know if she made it. Many of our students have gone on to be dancers, choreographers, teachers. And as Carlos said, it's incredibly rewarding to watch the progress. After leaving Berkeley Ballet Theater in 2001, I founded Conservatory of Classical Ballet in San Leandro, my ballet utopia, a school for anybody, any background, any age over 3.5. After a few years of training, we had a group of students who Carlos could teach, and I called him up again. I was so eager to have him share his wealth of knowledge and his wonderful teaching with the students. During his 20 years at our Conservatory of Classical Ballet, he taught both intermediate to advanced adults and children weekly. He set choreography for many summer intensives and student company performances. As the school grew, Carlos suggested adding his Nutcracker party scene to our Nutcracker suite. And yes, I think it is one of the best. He played the role of Drosselmeyer every year until 2019. How inspiring it was for the hundreds of students and audience members over the years to see him perform, and the students to get to rehearse with him every week. In 2020, during the COVID-19 shutdown. Carlos, at the age of 89, learned how to teach on Zoom. You're welcome. It took many phone calls, but he did it. He didn't care for that medium because the people couldn't be together and watch each other together. But it was better than not having class at all, and he did it every week and learned how to take role online. It was a great learning curve for all of us, that transition. And we did it for a very long time. Carlos continued after the pandemic to teach his weekly class. And he came right up until April of last year, every Saturday that he felt up to it. I taught the class beforehand, and I always told him, if you're not feeling it, don't come, just give me a call. And some days he would call, "Oh, Annie, I did not sleep well last night. I don't think I should come. I'm sorry." I'm like, it's fine, Mr. Carlos. You rest. For many years, I asked him, "Carlos, how do you feel about this next term? Do you want to continue teaching?" Oh, yes. Teaching was such a joy for him. And I wanted to give him that opportunity as long as possible. It freaked me out that he was driving. And I did make him stop teaching at night many years ago. It was always a relief when Selena brought him, But he kept coming, and the students loved him, and he continued to be an inspiration for everyone who came in his path and who saw him get down on that floor and do the exercises with the students. He was a guru, as you said. And his presence, I think, will always be with us. Thank you.
And to speak for the family, Selena.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for coming. It was hard because to get everyone's emails so I could send to everyone who wanted to be here an invite and figure out how many people were going to come. I'm his youngest daughter. I was born in 1980, 1 year before the end of Dance Spectrum, so it probably ended because I was born. I'm lucky enough to have grown up with a guru for a father, and he would lecture me constantly on my way to school as he drove me to school. It was about a 20-minute drive, and it was about a 20-minute lecture every day about something. And, you know, as a kid, I did not appreciate how I grew up. I did not understand that I grew up in the ultimate acid trip. Called the Villa Satori. And with just a wealth of creative outlet. And there was a costume, shop in our basement. So for Halloween, I would put on one costume, go around trick-or-treating, grab the candy, go back home, change, go around again. And as a kid, you know, I went to school and I just wanted to be normal like everyone else. You know, I always envied my friends who grew up, you know, had beige houses that had nothing in them. And I kind of pushed back the creativity that was put in front of me really hard at one point. I wanted to be anything other than something creative. I actually had my eyes set on being an accountant. And I was asked to go to this summer school for chemistry. And my dad was like, no. You'll do musical theater instead and ballet, because that's a better, that's better than being normal. It was only till after I did ayahuasca that I truly appreciated how I grew up. I think it's because it finally opened my eyes to understand something else that's out there and what my father was actually doing with his ballets and doing with his life and what he had experienced with the many, many acid trips that were taken in that house. You know, I mean, he openly talked about the acid trips and stuff with me, and I never understood it until after I actually had done this ayahuasca to heal my mental health at the time. And what I saw was, oh, this is so much more loving than I could have ever have imagined. This is the space that we live in, the creativity that comes through my father and comes through me and my mom and my sister and all of us. That is from another beautiful plane, and that plane of existence is called love. My dad would always say, all you need is love, because he loved the Beatles. I was there, I have notes, but I'm not even talking on, geez. I was filming my TV show, and I got a call from my sister. She was like, you have to come home now. Dad is not in a good way. And so I got on a plane right away, and I came home, and I took care of my dad. He was very sick. He was in a lot of pain. He had bone cancer, which is extremely, extremely painful, among other things. And it was his final days, his final hours. And I had to say goodbye because I had to get back to New York to film and also to perform. And I had wrestled in my head whether I should go and perform or not. I could cancel if I wanted to, but I knew that my dad was like really wanted me to go and perform and like be on stage for him and like honor him in the way that was the best way, was the creative way, you know. And so I said my goodbyes to him, and he wasn't really there. He was very inaudible. Every once in a while, when he was laying in bed, he would go, hi. And I was like, who was that? Who came to see you? I want to know, because I know there's something else out there. And someone came and said hi to you. Was it your dad? Was it your friend? Like, who was it? Was it Toto? I sat down with a guitar and I played a song for him one last time. And when he heard me playing and singing, he was like, oh. And he heard me. It was and we'd turn on the classical station to play for him. And he'd put his hand up and he'd be dancing with his finger and his eyes, like he knew he was there dancing to the music. And so I went and I had to go. I had to get on a plane. And I told him, I whispered in his ear. I kissed him on the head, on his bald head. He always had a bald head. He never had hair. I never knew him with hair. And so I kissed him on the head, and I said, you know, Dad, I am so proud to be your daughter. And he literally came up and he went, you better be. And so right to the end, he had such a great sense of humor. I edited all the videos that you've been watching. And after, thanks. I did it all in iMovie. It was awful. And after watching all of these videos, everything, I realized that I miss dancing. I miss it so much. I haven't danced in so long, and watching his ballets, and they're so beautiful. Watching my mom dance and all his dancers in his ballet, it's so beautiful. I miss dancing. And I just want to do that again. Even if it hurts and I'm in perimenopause, I just want to do it again. Thank you all for coming. I really appreciate it. My mom had some things she wanted to say some thank yous. Do you want to come up and say some thank yous? She's saying thank you, thank you. There's a website going up for my dad, dancecarvajal.com. I will be posting stuff about my dad. I will be posting his ballets. I'm going to start trying so hard to get his legacy out there, and you know, I just think he's such a huge and important part of dance, and an important part of spirituality too, in a way. That I think it's really important to continue, putting his legacy out there. So yeah, check that out. Thanks for coming. What else was I going to say? I can't remember. Oh God, I should have written this down. Thank you. Oh, thank you so much for having us.
You can collect your if you want to say something else. So just want everybody to know there's great food, Filipino food downstairs, right? We have that for you here. For those of you online, you can go and stay in the Zoom room, and we have a conference room downstairs where you can share your stories about Carlos. We'll also have a live mic downstairs in the big room if you have more stories, which I'm sure there are, about Carlos. Those all things happen. And the last thing we'll do after Selena finishes is we have one more video that she's put together.
Yeah.
Okay?
Don't forget to put the blue cards on the tree with your thoughts about my dad. Yeah, I don't know. I was proud of that idea. It was silly. And yeah, this last video is just a montage of some. Oh, support the arts. Yes, donate to the arts. Come on. Thanks, Mama. This last video is it's a montage of his ballets. It's not all his ballets. It's all the ones that I could find decent footage of. So enjoy, and thank you again so much, everyone, all the speakers, everyone for coming. Thank you so much, and bye.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody. It's so wonderful to see all of your faces. I wasn't going to speak because I didn't know if I could. My dad is so happy right now. He is so happy. Thank you for coming. Thank you.